All yours.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. Today, I will show you how to become a showman with every presentation you do from now on, right? So let's go right away. So everything is about presentation. That sounds a little bit drastic, but believe me, it's more accurate than you might think. You might have the greatest product you ever had. It's efficient, is the best code you have ever written, but with a bad presentation, it goes right away with a poorly handled code and with a very bad product, right? So presentation is the way that that your clients or whatever people you're showing your solution will take that first sight of whatever you're showing them. So you needed to be dramatic. You needed to be efficient. You need to communicate with the client in a way that they feel attracted to it right from the start. Okay. Usually that doesn't happen, especially with us. Software. Most of us are software developers. There are some other cases, but in our current career or choice of career, they don't show us how to do a presentation. They just tell us like, okay, do a bullet point list with as much information you have, and just try your best, and that's it. And that will almost every time fail. You will make your product look worse. You won't attract enough clients, and all your efforts will go to pain just because your presentation just wasn't good enough, right? So I will start this presentation to do something real easy. Let's just imagine this solution, right? I want to introduce to three members of my work. Let's say I want to bring three friends to a burger restaurant, okay? So let's say I found this amazing burger restaurant, and I want them to go every Thursday with me to this place so we can hang out and have some amazing burgers, okay? So I want to propose this idea, and I will do it the same way we always do with every single presentation we have in hand, okay? So let's start right at it. Here we go. The bulletproof list that we always do with a little image to the right side. And let's start right away how we usually handle this kind of presentation. Okay. Hello, friends. Here I will show you about this burger place I visit. This burger place is pretty good. I found it in the neighborhood, and they make burgers. So all ingredients are made locally. The meat is well made and is served warm, and it's made of it's made of cow. Yeah, cow. Yeah. So the vegetables are fresh. You get my point, right? I just lost you in the first three. In the first 3 points, you just lost all interest in. Actually, one of the three friends just said, okay, I'm hungry, let's eat tacos. And they all went, okay, let's eat tacos, Taco Thursday, and you just lost them. All of those points just make a great burger place, but you just lost them in the first three, just because you had a very lousy presentation. It's not about the product itself, it's about how did you present your idea. So let's see how we can actually transform that presentation with just a quick set of tips. I won't take much of your time. And let's transform that presentation into something far better, right? Let's see how to achieve that. So, as I told you, we will have 5 basic principles to do so. Let's start with the first one, practice. You know that the saying practice makes perfect, right? That's not that shouldn't go overestimated, right? When you set to practice a presentation, you will have many additional tools. You will know how to make the flow consistent. You will know how to make a story of it. You will have a structure set, and you won't need as much text as you always do in the regular presentation. All of it will be in your head, and you will not have so many, I don't know, dramatic pause every time you speak, right? So that is crucial. And let me tell you right away. So you should have as less text as possible in a presentation. The presentation is not about whatever you have in the slide, it's about you. You need to connect with your clients, and the clients won't connect with whatever you're showing there. They're connecting with you. So the practice will let you leave all this boring text behind and just make some dramatic images, maybe graph, maybe anything that will support you when you present it, when you give a presentation. The slides are support material, not something that the people will need to read. They need to make a search of whatever you're saying and to make it more dramatic, okay? Next stuff, keep it simple. You don't want to go over the branches, right? You are presenting a solution and a solution to a problem, and those are the only 2 points that you want to achieve that the client gets, okay? So you present the problem, you present the solution, and that's it. That's all you need. You don't need anything else. You don't need to overcompensate with a lot of information. You just need all that. You just need the information precisely and concise, whatever you need to show. Point 3, love your product. Okay, if you leave this presentation with only this point, that will change all the ways you introduce something, right? What do I mean with love your product? When you're showing, imagine you are presenting to your, I don't know, to your friends, the person you like, right? How do you show it? Like, okay, he or she is fine. He's polite, or do you show it like he's the most amazing person in the world? He's so nice. He or she buys me so many stuff. There's a difference between that. When you're in love with your product, you are excited about it, and that excitement transmits to your client, and your client will feel excited to follow your product. Okay, that goes with the same with the point 4. A smile will take you a long way. Whenever you are presenting, if you have a positive attitude, the client will relate to that, and they will think positively about your product, right? So if you're nervous, if you're shy, if you're not certain that your product is the best, the client won't be either. So you will never ever show your actually sell your product if you are in those kind of states. You have to maintain a positive attitude, and that will transmit, because it's contagious. You have to smile as the best as you can every single time you can, so the client will feel satisfied with this choice. Okay, and the last one, create a show. Let me use an example for this one. When you saw this circus material from a long, long time ago, right? And the showman appears with this, and with his red jacket, with his hat, and whatever. And he went, okay, here I will show you a cat I brought from the United States. Or he will say, behold, here comes the vicious tiger from the far east, the most big tiger we could find in the forest, and he has killed 20 men before we finally catch him and train him. That exaggeration actually makes a point. It actually takes the client's attention. He gives them hype about the product, right? So sometimes you don't have to exaggerate every single thing in your presentation, but some key points will actually give you a lot more to communicate with the client, and the client will be more excited about the product than just saying the plain facts. For example, it is more dramatic to say you will lose $10,000 a month than saying you will lose $1 every single second, because the figure is bigger. Okay, so sometimes you need to exaggerate a little bit to create a show, so the clients will feel more, I don't know, more enthusiastic with the product. Okay, so those five principles looks plainly easy, but let's see what happens when I apply these five things into the previous presentation about the burger, right? So let's jump right away. Okay, I don't need the bulletproof anymore because the bullet points because I have practice, and and now I have this dramatic image that will call any client up to it. Okay, so let's see how the presentation goes. Hey guys, I found this amazing place of burger. I mean, it's the best place ever. We need to go again. The bread is just warm. It's just like taking out from the oven. The cheese just melting. The burger, such an amazing cheese. The meat is so juicy. We have to go right now. Please, please, please. Let's go right now, right now, right now. The fries are so crispy. We need to go, 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 go. Far better, right? You feel more enthusiastic we are going with the product. So let's say I presented that with the same three friends, right? The more eager one will just say, okay, let's go to the burger. That's the one that is actually interested in what you're saying, okay? But the second one will say, I don't know what's the difference between what you said with Burger King. Why should I go to your place? It's just a burger, man. Relax. Yes? That is the kind of client that doesn't know what's the problem is. Okay? So for that kind of client, we need to add, for the two last friends, we need to add something else to the presentation. And that is a structure. Okay? Every presentation is a tale. You're telling a tale a client, a fairy tale, right? And as every fairy tale goes, you need some sort of things to make it cohesion, right? To make it the story go in a flow. And the first of those is the introduction. That's where you say to the client, what's the problem? What's the problem in his current world? What's the thing that you're trying to solve in his life, right? So you need to find that problem that you need to solve in the client's life, and you need to, as a showman, make it worse. Make it sound a lot worse than what it is. Okay? Exaggerate the things a little bit and make it sound far worse. So let's try that with the presentation. Okay, guys, you know that we have tested like, I don't know, too many burgers. If there is always soggy fries or there are just too few, all the meat, man, the last meat I ate is where like, I don't know, it was made like for an alien and they took it in the sun and left it in the sun for like 3 weeks and they just served it right away into the burger. It was awful. But you know, I think I found a really great place of burgers that we need to try it out. And that's where the presentation goes, right? So you just presented the problem, exaggerated a little bit, it doesn't matter, and you actually show the client the solution right from the scratch. This is your problem, and I have the solution right away. So I spoke about the flaws in the current life of the client with a very bad expression, like with disgust, with whatever, and just went straight away to the solution with a big smile and whatever. The client will feel, if any of those problems are in the life of the client, he will feel identified, and they will feel happy with the solution you're going to present them. Okay? That actually helps you find the second friend. The second friend actually just follow you along, and he said, you know, you are right. I have tasted some pretty bad burgers in my life. I need to test yours. And he's going along with you. So you just walk through. But the third one, the hardest one, he will tell you, yeah, but your burger placing is expensive. I don't want to spend so much. Right? You just presented a real problem, a real solution, and he just said, it's too expensive for that. So what do you need to capture this client? What is left in the structure that I told you? A conclusion. The conclusion is made for you to finally make this sale happen. Okay? Whatever you need. If you need to offer a service, you just sell the client whatever you need the service you're going to give him across the future. If you're selling a product, you just give one final push to just make the sale, right? That is particular for every client. It's also the introduction is particular for every client, but with a little bit of knowledge, you can actually focus that client's intention and just make your way around it, right? So he's a friend of mine, and I know he's cheap. And what do? What's the conclusion? I know you're going to say that, but today's Thursday and there is 2 for 1, and I will pay you your burger if you go along with me. And next time you will be grateful. And that's it. You want the 3 friends: the cheap one, the one that doesn't have the one that doesn't know the solution, and the one that is pretty eager to work with you. Right? So you just transform one lazy presentation, one lousy really that you won't win anyone, to something really great that you just want 3 different set of clients, just with changing a little bit the way you take a look on it, right? That's how you actually reach the top, okay? This is not only for presentations. This is for every single kind of solution you want to achieve. You want to present a problem to a client. You say the problem, you say the solution, and you say a conclusion about it, and you just use words to represent the state of the happiness about it, okay? You want to write your resume for a new career. That's the way you go. You're going to an interview. That's the way you go. Every single thing that you want to actually convince someone to do some kind of follows the same structure and the same idea. And I just told you, what, 5 tips? Something that you have 5 tips for you to remember. There are a lot more. Imagine what you can do with all those information in your current presentation. Just imagine how many presentations you could, how many clients you could have lost for that bulletproof list to something a little bit better that just is just a tweak, a minor tweak, right? That's why I mentioned that the presentation is everything. You just, in the first diapositive, I show you how to mess up a product, a real good product with a lousy presentation. And in the next one, I show you how to improve it with just some random tips. Okay? So I try to follow along the same structure that I'm just saying in this presentation, if you pay attention. The introduction, I told you, like, what's the problem? The problem is that most of us doesn't know how to do a presentation, and we will lose clients over it. In the middle of it, I show you the solution and how it impacts. And I use, I smile all across the way. I was excited about the product. I was lost. I was sad or serious when I showed you the introduction and the problem, and I was happy when I showed you the development. And now I'm telling you the conclusion that with this, you will win more and more clients along the way. So I invite you to actually take in account this in every single presentation you do. Take those 5 tips. I can share it to you if you like later. And every time you make a presentation, just do it that way. Try to do it that way. Think like you need to convince someone that is really not interested in whatever you're going to say, and try to make it interesting. And you will get far better presentations, far better feedbacks, and a far better result. Okay? You don't need a lot. You don't need a lot of time. This took me 23 minutes or so. But the message will be a lot better. Okay? So that's it for the presentation. I told you it was going to be real quick. I hope it helped you. Any questions?
Where is that restaurant?
Good question.
Great presentation, Victor. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. That totally is really, really good. Questions for Victor, or ideas, or how, like, I don't know, experiences of your own?
I just gotta say I'm really hungry.
Yeah. It was
I
really
wanted
great.
to ask Victor, where were you reading? How did you get the information to create this presentation? Where did you get the inspiration, the information, etc.?
It's really easy. I actually just went like how to make a fine presentation at Google, and I just went through it. It's
Great.
really, but yeah, I took. I mean, let's see. I did that. I actually found some documentation about how. I will say it right away. Patricia did a course of how to improve the startup company, right? So I took points from there. I investigated about how to give a nice presentation. I just compared whatever I found with Steve Jobs' presentation and many other stuff to actually see this through. Okay, so I don't have one source of information. I just took many, whatever I could find, compare them, and just find like a one common ground that I have seen people apply in many stuff.
Any particular presenter that you like or that you have checked and you like?
To be honest, I just checked Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Okay.
like one of the they say like it's one great presentation, one great presentator. But I also I don't have the name, but I saw pet talks. They used exactly the same structure. I saw I don't know. I thought about showmans in the business or whatever they show in how they how they portray themselves in movies and whatever. And I have it's like a compilation of a lot of stuff I have seen in the past, not something like pretty accurate to this moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anything else?
Someone else?
Thanks, Victor. Just quick comment. Thanks for your talk, Victor. It's super interesting and really good tips. I just sent a video that I think that could be related. When I was watching this video, it was pretty impressive. How, as you were saying, like how a couple of details on how a couple of tips, small tips, can boost your presentation and change a lot the message you're sending. How can you convince your audience and like changing the message you're sending just with a super simple tips, modification, and you're there. So that's something that I just shared. If someone has some minutes to watch it, that I think it's pretty relevant. Thanks again, Victor.
There are far more tips. Like you have to make the client feel identified with you, for example, right? And to do so, you need to investigate the client's background. You need to investigate what the client might have wrong in his life. There are certain ways you can speak, certain ways you can move, you can stand. Everything goes into sharing emotions with the client, okay, with the person, not with the client, with whatever person you're trying to communicate to, right? The thing is like to make him feel identified, makes him feel like his problem is far worse than he thought, and actually makes him feel better about whatever the solution you want to do. And everything is about how you stand, how you act, your expression, the way you dress, everything. It's like minor tweaks that actually will change your presentation all the way around to something far greater. But it is what I wanted more in this conversation, in this talk, was not give you the like, okay, this is the right recipe you need to follow, but mostly the importance of a good presentation behind your product. If you have a good presentation and your good product, you will have 100% of the clients you achieve, you want to reach, okay? If you have a bad product and a good presentation, you can achieve 80%. You will lose some, but you will get at least the first part. But if you have a really great product and a terrible presentation, I will guarantee you that not even the 20% of the clients will follow you. That's why the presentation is like this big of a deal. It's the first impression the client has on your product, and it's the most important one, at least in this world. There are other tips like you need to use only positive words, because if I said, like, for example, if I told you the bread is good, the burger is good, the tomatoes are good, but the lettuce is a little bit dry, the client will only remember that the lettuce is bad. Only that. All the other things doesn't matter. The lettuce is bad. The bad words sounds 10 times worse than the good words. So in the description of your product, you cannot say any bad words. You have to say only good words. And in the problem, you just have to say only bad words and stuff like that. There are major amounts of tweaks or whatever you have to do to your presentation. But I guarantee that with these 5 tips, you can do something far greater. Okay?
Well, Victor, well, I totally agree with you. Thanks for showing us how important it is to add that touch to all presentations. And I would like to add one point that I think you mentioned, part of it, and I think it's about to know your public. I think that before you made a presentation, it is very important to know your public and adapt the presentation to those people in order to make the presentation understandable for them. For example, me as a developer, or us as a developers, if we want to talk about some kind of programming language that we know, and among the public, there's people related with other areas in the company or something, I mean, not related with programming. So to make those people be comfortable with the presentation, I could use examples to compare like the programming language with actually language. We'll be like, in order to understand each other, us as human use languages, right? Like English, Spanish, blah, blah, blah. And we as a programmers could use, for example, JavaScript to communicate with our browsers, computers, I don't know, something like you catch the attention from most of the people from the public. It's about, it's all about adapting your presentation. I think that that's a really good point. And you mentioned that because you explained that with images, your presentation actually, and that's really caught my attention. Really, that's really good, Victor. Thank you very much.
Right. That, as you mentioned, that depends, right? Whatever the audience you want to speak to, right? This presentation, for example, is worthless. The burger presentation is worthless if I'm speaking with a vegan.
Yeah.
Right away. If I'm trying to sell a burger place that doesn't sell vegan meat, it can be the greatest presentation ever, but I won't attract it.
That's right.
But in the case of programming, for example, you can do two things, right? In the case you're mentioning, imagine that you're going into an audience with 200 people, right? Just say like 100 of them are JavaScript. Okay? So you have 2 choices. One is focusing only in the audience of JavaScript, not minding the rest of the audience. And your main goal is to deeply connect with those 100 JavaScript to make sure that at least 90% of those JavaScript follow you along, right? Yeah. So in that case, you will not tweak your presentation to a broader audience, but you will focus on those JavaScript. But if your presentation is going through the whole room, I want the whole room, the 90% of the room to follow me, maybe you shouldn't focus on a language, but in the logic behind the language. So instead of using code, JavaScript code, maybe you can use pseudocode or diagrams or flows, whatever is common between all the programming languages. And that way you can actually achieve more clients. That depends on, as you mentioned, the people that are hitting you and what's your goal. Who do you want to reach? But that is like another thing for a presentation, showman too, whatever, right? How to communicate with the client, right? But yeah, you're totally right. The presentation goes deeply along with whoever you want it to show.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Thanks.
Any other
Anything else?
question for Victor? Ah, there was one there. Or it was you, Victor?
It was me.
Ah, okay. You want to ask something?
No, that's it for my side.
Okay, I want to put something in the table that we were discussing before the presentation with Victor. That the principles and the ideas about like becoming a showman that Victor expressed it right now, actually also goes very well with like micro presentations, like not only like doing a deck, you know, like for selling a product or like doing a demo, a big demo of for presenting something that you worked for a long time, but also like in that micro interactions that where you want to show some progress with your client, even just like how you send a message in a Slack, for example. That message could be a little slide, like Victor showed it. Like you can, if you just like send a status with 3 words that they are vague and they don't like convey like what is actually going on, even if you work it your ass off and you like are like really making progress, maybe for the client it's going to be bad. Like the communication is going to break there and it's not going to work fine. So like instead of that, if you send a GIF of of a work in progress or something like that, and you give more information and you give a nice presentation, even in that micro interaction, it can go a really long way. Like maybe you don't even know, but that client will enter a meeting with the boss. That I think we already said this before, but like in like maybe that day, and because you send it that gift, he can show something, and he gains extra points, and you gain a lot of points because you help him. So these kind of principles I think applies like about everything, like how you show yourself, and it's really worth to put the time on it, and like not only focus on how performant, or if you use a for each or a for loop in something. Like really, like that doesn't matter at the end of the day that much as how you show it.
Yeah, and actually not only with the clients, but just imagine that that you're in this group that they are developing with React, and you want to present the idea to change whatever they have to Redux. How do you do that? With the same structure that I just showed you. An introduction where you just said where the problem lies, development where you say how to fix the problem, and a conclusion that says this will grow more in the future. And stuff like that. Everything you can actually apply this principle if you want to convince someone to do something. This principle works fine. Okay.
Actually, I love the idea. At the end, and this is something I thought while you were presenting and Matthias was commenting, the daily meeting is that routine meeting that we have every day. And a lot of times, me the first, we just give a status in the as minimal as possible, trying to avoid as much information as possible. Sometimes because I don't want to really get into details because I'm not sure if I'm going the right way, or there can be 1 million reasons. But take advantage of those small meetings. Let's say at some point a little bit more meaningless meetings, to start practicing, to give context, to explain what you have done. You don't have to take 2 minutes or 3 minutes to do that. You just have to take 30 seconds before the meeting starts to think what are you going to say, to give the impression you want to give. Maybe at some point you will have to use today I don't really want to express as much. I'm gonna keep it as brief as possible. But some days you want to really express something bigger. Something is going great, something is going really good, and you can take advantage of that situation to show yourself, as Matthias was mentioning before. Great input, Matthias. Thank you.
Okay, I think that if we don't have any more questions, like we let Victor go and see you next week. Victor, like you are quite a showman. Thanks a lot. Thanks everybody for joining.
Victor, nice talk.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Goodbye.
Victor.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.